2010, I was arrested on federal drug charges. And so I spent 10 years in federal penitentiary. I just remember him saying, you just have to start or just do it. And I didn't know nothing. I mean, you had books, and you read things and you take notes, but it's kind of different when it's time to start applying it. And you came up. The big thing for me was you can't put any limitations on it. Just do it.
Today, it's a very special episode because we have a special guest. His name is Gauntlett McCarter, and he happens to be one of our students at the Real Estate Nova program and also a real estate investor. So I decided to invite Gauntlett into our interview today because he has a wonderful story to share with you. And the goal of this is to prove you that it doesn't matter what financial background you're coming from. Things can happen to you if you set yourself on the right path and you're willing to learn and educate yourself in order to change your financial future. So without further ado, let's get to know Gauntlett and hear about his story. And here we are with our special guest, Gauntlett McCarter. Gauntlett, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome. I am very honored to do this today.
We are very honored to have you as well. Your story is beautiful, and I'm pretty sure that our audience would love to hear that as well. So let's go ahead and get started and ask you the very first thing. The most common question is, Gauntlett, why did you decide to go into real estate?
Okay. That's a good question. And so I'm going to give you a quick background to answer that question. So 2010, I was arrested on federal drug charges. And so I spent 10 years in federal penitentiary. And so during that time, I had ran into, you run into all walks of life, but in particular, I ran into a gentleman who was a real estate investor. And he used to see me studying and, he had just pulled up, called me over one day and, we just had a conversation. And he had talked to me about coming back home after having the felon title on you that, how he said that investing in real estate would be a good chance for me to get my foundation and get myself back together because of the challenges that felons face upon being released. So that was, he shared with me a few of his practices and a few of his techniques. And he just started giving me books to read. And then he would, question me and we just built a relationship. So I would have to say, and I feel cannot put his name out there. His name is Bobby Brown. And I'm very appreciative for him. He really, really did give me some insight, and it has helped me a lot coming home and being able to choose this path for some income as a felon. So, but that was my big deal.
Great. Thank you for sharing. So it seems that even though you had some mishaps, 10 years ago, life didn't want that to be your path. So he set you up with a gentleman in your journey, in your path, and helped you learn that your future could be different. Like you didn't have to be part of the statistics. And I think part of it as well had to do with the fact that you were a curious person. He saw that you were open to things, that you were curious about learning something, that learning the past. So can you walk us through how was that engagement when you guys first met? Like, did he saw you reading a book or like, what was it like?
So in that particular setting, like I said, you have every walk of life that you could probably imagine. So I think for him to see me so steadfast in my studies, because I've done a lot of reading, always reading and taking notes. And, I guess that intrigued him. He's like, man, and when he pulled up on me or when he, when we started forming our relationship, he was like, man, I see you studying all the time and you're reading. He was like, I can tell that you're going to do something upon being released. He said, I can tell that you have a plan and that you want to get something accomplished. And so then he started to ask me, what are my interests, what I was going to do. At that time, I really didn't know, honestly. It was a time where it was like, I had a background in technology, but being removed from it for 10 years, how fast technology moves. So I was like, man, that might be tough for me to get back in there. So I really didn't know what I was going to do upon being released. So when he pulled, when we started talking and he started sharing with me, and he just told me, and this is really, I got excited about it. He said that he made his first $1 million driving trucks, but he became a multimillionaire invested in real estate. And he shared with me the downfalls and the mistakes that he made. And, so it was really empowering talking to him and just getting the feedback and being in that place with someone who had been on a level with investing that I was like, I was really, it was mind blowing. It really was, what he shared and what he done. And he had started, small too, but so he just liked me being steadfast in my studies. And he just said that I know you're going to do something. And if I can help you, man, I'd be more than happy to.
Wow, that's amazing. God bless him for
Man,
being
really
so kind to you and taking an interest in you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today with us.
Right.
And so what was the transition like once you started learning about real estate? Like once you came out, did you just jump straight into it? Did you find yourself having to educate yourself even more? How was it like for you?
It was so for me. I like certainty. So I'm very uncomfortable if I really don't know, or if I'm not certain about how things are going to happen or unfold. So it was really frightening, coming in. But I just remember him saying, you just have to start or just do it. And I didn't know nothing. I mean, you had books, and you read things and you take notes, but it's kind of different when it's time to start applying it. And so you have a lot of questions. There's so much that, I needed, and so many answers that I needed. And honestly, I can't even remember what I YouTube. And you came up. I forgot what I was looking for an answer for. I don't know, but you had all these. Actually, you had a lot of little small little classes on just certain points. They were just like, whatever it would be. But they were really short and to the point. And so I looked at one of them and I'm like, wow, she explained that really simple. It was easy for me to understand, and it made me feel a little bit more secure about moving forward. And so when I saw the class, I'm like, I got to enroll in it, and I remember day one, actually the first few classes, me and my sons were watching. And, I was talking to my older son yesterday and I was like, remember when we first started watching those classes? I have an interview tomorrow. And he was so excited for me. When I saw like I said, it was your YouTube, it was really simple. You just made it really simple, really easy to, follow. And honestly, with your approach, if you don't have a lot of money, you set it up where you don't, you give all the resources and tools you can use for a low amount of money, or, even a lot of the stuff was free. So it helps when you're starting out. It helps.
Well, you got to start somewhere. None of us were born with money. I mean, eventually you do grow and you create money, so to speak, but we all have to start somehow. And that's when you really developed your true skills, because you were given nothing and now you're learning how to fish on your own. And so I am so happy to find out that you had great mentors. Bobby is one of them. And that, through my videos, I was able to add, something, make a change and impact in your life. That actually humbles me a lot. And it just simply reiterates the reason why we continue to do this, because the information has always been out there, but not a lot of people seem to have, gotten access to it. And in a way, I'm actually grateful for YouTube, because without YouTube, we wouldn't be able to make this free, really available for everybody to watch. So you've shared a lot with us. some of the stuff, it's very personal. So we feel very honored that you're opening up yourself to us and the audience here. And so it seems like there were multiple things that you were trying to improve in your life. So you were trying to set yourself on a good path, change your life for the future. And now eventually you mentioned your son. Aside from getting your life back together after you came out of jail, was there anything else that was propelling you forward? I mean, I would like to think that your son has a lot to do with it, but what more? Because from my understanding, is that when you come out of that environment, the system typically sets you up in a way that the likelihood of you falling back again into that toxic environment, it's very high. But yet you manage to make a difference and you manage to come out. And there's got to be a why, a true why behind it. So will it be okay for you to share that with us? Like what kept you going forward and never wanting to look back?
So, wow, that is a great question, Ann. And, my mind just went all over the place thinking about how to answer that, because just you asking me that question, it makes me think of what, the process of me coming home, the challenges. But okay, I'm going to try to stay focused and answer your question. So let's get to the why first.
Just be you.
Okay. Okay. So my why, upon getting incarcerated, that was a really, really tough time for me. And so you find out really quickly who's with you and who's not. And so I had got into trouble in and out as an adolescent and, getting older. And, my mom said to me, she said to me, it was one of the last conversations, she said, son, if this is, what you're going to choose to do, I don't want any part of it. Don't ask me for any help. If you get in any trouble, I don't want to know. And she said, but this is what I will tell you. If you put half the energy you did into a skill set as you did the streets, I promise you would come off better. Make a long story short, when I got locked up, Mom, despite telling me that she didn't want anything to do with it, she handled all of my affairs for me, because what people don't understand is once you get incarcerated, life doesn't stop. They don't say, okay, Gauntlet's in jail. He doesn't have to pay any more bills. He doesn't have to, close any affairs. And so for me, I got overnight. So I didn't get a bond to try to get affairs taken care of. So my mom was running like crazy. And the fact she told me that she didn't want to do that and still done it and didn't make me feel any way about it was so humbling. And at that point, it was like, I really want to set my mom up in a position so the quote unquote golden years of her life, she can really kick back and enjoy it. So that was a driving force for me. I just really wanted to let Mom know that I appreciated what she done for me during that time, because it really was a low point and she helped me out tremendously. She done so much. But that was it. That was my driving force.
Oh, that was a very humbling story for sure. I certainly felt it as well, because my story also involves my family. So we all understand that family is everything. And sometimes we don't choose to come into a family, but they're there. And you're right. When times get rough, that's when you really prove who's your friend and who's not. So I'm glad that you didn't have to do that alone, and that you still had your mom, and that, on top of that, you met a wonderful mentor like Bobby, and that you are here today sharing, what with us, and still keeping that wonderful smile, and like always looking forward. Like every time I talk to you, it's like, he's like the smiliest person in the world, and which is amazing. And so now that you have come a long way, and I'm sure it wasn't easy, what would you say made you want to pull the trigger with us? Because as you know, there's a lot of YouTubers out there, there's a lot of content out there. and some of them are genuine, some of them are not. What made you really say, hey, I mean, aside from the short videos and the board and stuff like that, hey, she's not going to scam me? Because that's like the number one concern I heard from everybody. Are you going to upsell me later on, or are you going to like rip me off? And then on top of that, like depending on the environment that you're in, people around you sometimes doesn't help. We've heard multiple cases of students saying, well, you know, my family told me that I was an idiot for doing this and like and you're not going to scam me, right? And sometimes when they ask me that question, I was like, well, if I was, do you think I will tell you, right? But, you know, it's just funny. And so like, I wanted to ask you, like, what made you like trust us? Because especially from your background, you know, life hits you so hard that you stop believing in people.
So I guess I would start by answering that with, after going through the prison journey, you know, being at that point, it was like, for me, it was nothing else to do but to come up. I felt like I couldn't drop any further than that. So coming out, like when I first got the little YouTube videos, and I just remember now, it was so many of them, and I was so excited because they were so short and to the point, and you just came off really genuine. Then when I enrolled in the actual class and got it was like, wow, you know what I mean? You really took time. The explanation was simple, and that did it for me. Like, because you made it really easy for me to understand. You seemed genuine, you took your time. I mean, you offered all the help that, you know, like if you have any questions, the support was there. It was just, I really felt a family vibe, you know, and that was important to me. I didn't really feel like I was taking a chance. You know, I didn't. I thought the price I thought was really reasonable. I really did for what we were getting. I really thought it was a great deal. It is a great deal. But so I wasn't, because there was information and content. And again, well, see, my journey has changed the way I think and the way I feel about a lot of things. So I honestly don't feel that anyone can take advantage of me, you know? So even if, like, you had information, there was information that I didn't know. And so even if just to come away with that was worth it, because there was something that I gained that I didn't have before. And, you know, just the information, like I said, it was one where you were breaking down about the different classes of neighborhoods, how it would be a, you know, when you
Class A, Class B.
Class B, yeah. And it's just so much I could kind of talk about, but yeah, you just really made it easy. And I was going through everything that you were telling me was stuff that I needed at that time because I was just starting. So it was like meant to be for me. It really was when this was falling in place. And I really do feel like you get what you put out. So I try all the time to put out good energy and good vibes. And by doing that, I feel comfortable that my interactions are going to produce good fruit. You know, and it worked out because you were really, really integral in me building the foundation for the real estate investment.
Look at you now. You closed on a property. Now you got your son on board as well. So you're setting him on the right path early on, so that he hopefully doesn't have to go through the struggles that you went through. So now you have been in our program for, I would say, over a year and a half.
A little over a year.
Yeah. And so what would you say are some of the things that you have changed I mean, obviously with your life, you have learned a lot along the way. But ever since you joined us, what are some of the things that you will say, hey, if I were to look back, I am different now because of this, and this. So I know some of it had a lot to do with like the level of confidence that you have, but is there anything else that you look back now and you see, hey, I wasn't this person before, but now I am?
Absolutely. Because you really, I don't know, made it, it sit with me to just start. You know, you have to start. So with me, there are a lot of moving parts that come with real estate investing. You know, so from, you know, when you start with generating the lead to closing the deals, there are, you know, a number of steps in between. A lot of the roles, I never thought that I would be. I remember the first day when I was making cold calls, the very first day, I was so scared. Like, I was hoping that the answering machine would pick up. I didn't want to talk. So I look back at those days now because I wish you could hear me on the phone now. I mean, I got, you know, and I'm not afraid to have the conversation. And so going through this real estate investing has allowed me to understand a lot of limitations that I had put on myself that I shouldn't have. For me, I had to detach from the outcome and just be in the process. And that's what worked for me. Yeah, but and over the year, yeah, the way that I've changed is, again, definitely more confidence. But that just came from support. In order for me to feel confident, I have to know that if I have a question, I can get it answered. And you did that for me. You really did. You know, you had all the answers, and even questions like you were open to, you know, reach out to me or reach out to the group. It's just special. It was, I appreciate it. But yeah, I've changed so much in just my character and just understanding that. The big thing for me was you can't put any limitations on it. Just do it. And don't, you know, I'm getting away from it and it feels so much better now, but I would always attach myself to these preconceived notions about what I had, you know, about how it would end or the outcome would be. And it would never be. I never thought that I could call someone and they would sell me their home. I honestly, no way. And so when that happened, it's like, man, why would you ever think that? And so once you start breaking down these barriers that was kind of holding you back, it's kind of a, you know, it's a release, it's a freedom, it's empowering. So it's, I would say that would be the change for me over the years. Like, I'm not saying that I still don't have those limiting thoughts, but I know how to mitigate them quickly.
Right. It's a work in progress. I mean, you're undoing a lot of behaviors that were not beneficial to you, and now you're changing. And to the point of the preconceived notions, that's pretty common amongst all of us. And I believe that as you start building more momentum and then you add another property to your portfolio, your level of confidence obviously will start improving, and then you will realize that, hey, I don't know what was I thinking, but hey, it's I call that coming out of the shell. And I think that you even recall that sometimes in the calls, I would joke about it. I would say, well, so you're embarrassed of calling people. You're hoping that the machine picks up, but then what if somebody picks up? You suck so bad that people won't even remember you, right? Because you said it yourself. The wholesaling guy didn't even remember that you spoke to him before and you were like, oh, wow, okay, this offer is even better than the one that I was originally making. So like, that's the thing I always tell everybody. So what if you suck? Just go to another branch or like call somebody else and just get better at it. Chances are the first person that spoke to you will not even remember you, because they only remember two types of individuals: the ones that really managed to wow them in a really good way, or somebody that managed to wow them in a really bad way, and you happen to achieve none. So, hey, good news for you. They didn't remember you, so let's try again.
And that's, you're absolutely correct. You are. It's just like, don't do it. You know, you're going to mess up. You're going to stink. Like, I've never done it before. So for me to expect that I would be polished and refined and could just, you know, do it seamlessly. No, you know, you have to go through that, and it helps you understand, okay, when this happens, this is what I need to do. Or if you don't know, hey, Lucy, I had this happen, man. How do you handle that? You know, or what would you? And then the next time you go at it, it's like, okay, it's just, yeah. As you continue, and as I continue, you said it about the momentum. That's big, you know, like, because once that momentum builds and you get your pipeline built up, like, you know, I have a pipeline now that I can actually go and look at and, oh, let me check this out. Or I can call, let me follow up. It's exciting to me. It really is.
Obviously it is. Look at that smile.
I'm really excited about it because, you learn more every day, and then, you're around more people who do this, and you get to talk and bounce ideas off of, and you start meeting. It's just, it's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah, it indeed is. And it's even more beautiful to see the changes. You actually mentioned something that really caught my attention, and it was like the fact that people are so afraid to make mistakes. And I think it has a lot to do with how we were brought up, and like all environments, regardless whether you come from a good one or a bad environment. But we as kids, we were penalized for being wrong. You go to school, you get the wrong answer, you get penalized. You say the wrong things at home, and then depending on how your parents are, you can even get a knock in the head, or like my dad did, or you could be hearing things like, "Oh, you're so stupid," right? And so, like from really early on, we were trained to be afraid of making mistakes. And as you grow as an adult, every leader that comes around your path, like your mentor, myself, and I'm sure like every other millionaire that you can talk out there, what they're going to tell you that the times where they actually learned the most was when things got rough, right? When things are great, you don't really learn much from it. Like what's there to learn about? Things are going great. But then when things go rough, that's when you get creative. And I'm sure that, from the time that you made that very first phone call to who you are today, you have managed multiple ways to get things done very efficiently, things that you would have never thought of before. But because, like you said, you decided to just do it. And by doing it, you are coming up with ways of how you can get things done better in a way that works for you. Like it doesn't really necessarily have to be the way Lucilia has taught you. I could give you like the template, but then, hey, if Gauntlett wants to personalize it and make it Gauntlett style, right? Hey, be my guest, right? Like it has to work for you.
And that's just that's correct, because you provide the analogy I like to draw is you provided the skeleton. And I'm going to put the skin and dress it and, the way I like it to look. And that was a big learning thing for me, Lucy, because I thought that, you find this out and this is how, like you said, you do it. But when you start building your business, it's not going to look exactly like Lucilia's. You got certain things that you work with different, and you find out like, oh, okay, you have to do it to find out. You just have to do it. And it can be frightening, but I would just encourage him, just take the step. It always works out. It always works out. So I would encourage that. Just take the step. Don't get caught up in the fear factor. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but if you just try it, I swear, it works.
And I completely agree with you. Just get it done and things will happen. I know it's hard to believe as well, but things do happen when you put in the work. With some, it happens a little bit faster because maybe they're in the different circumstances. And for some, it takes a little longer, but in the end, it's the same result. Like you will make it happen. So based on what you just shared, right? What would you tell somebody who could be in your shoes 10 years ago, or somebody who could be in your shoes about a year and a half ago, that they were getting ready to pull the trigger, but that they're scared. They don't know, hey, is this the real deal? Like what advice would you give them that could, change their lives the way Bobby changed yours?
I would share with them this quote, and I reflect on it all the time, like daily as I go through the journey. And it's swim with it, don't fight it. The current may know something that you don't. And so, like I said, a lot of times we kind of resist, or we put up all these blocks to not do it, but just go with it. Just go with it. And you would really be surprised. You really would be surprised at, like you said, how things just fall into place for you. When you stay steadfast on the path, you continue to be persistent, just doing something regularly every day towards the business, you will just be amazed at what will open up for you. Just the doors that will open, people you will meet, or situations you'll find yourself in that will help you continue to grow and develop. And just meeting people like you and Bobby, like it just happens, it really does. I don't know how to explain it, but just put the energy out there. Just yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Thank you so much for sharing that piece of advice. We are creatures of habits and action. So if you put your thoughts out there, you will attract. If you do the actions that can help you bring whatever you're looking for, then you will attract that as well. It's all about the laws of attraction. So yeah.
I'm big on that, Lucy. I swear, I'm big on that. I really am.
So we're both on the same frequency. That will be the point. So we're both on the same frequency. I truly believe in that as well. And it's my daily mantra. You do good, you attract good. Just, do no harm and mind your business and keep growing. And then everything will fall itself together.
Everything falls in place. It does. It really does.
So thank you so much, Gauntlett, for your time, for your beautiful story. We're truly, truly humble to have, get to know you at a deeper level, aside from the usual, hey, like I have this deal here, what's going on? And it's great. And I'm sure that the audience will find that very valuable. I'm sure there's someone out there who's going through a difficult situation. And in your story, it's definitely, given them some hope. So thank you so much for sharing it with us today.
You are more than welcome. Thank you. I am forever grateful for you and the family. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So there you have it, everybody. So this is Gauntlett, and I will be seeing you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.